Let's go. Woo! YouTube, what is up? We are back with another day. We're gonna rip some deadlifts. We're gonna rip some tilted squats, a variation I stole from Zach Elderday. Gonna try them out. And probably a couple other leg accessories. We got a podcast with, I think his name's Dom. He was Atlas's guy that did a 40-day fast. And I'm interested to hear what the fuck that 40-day fast was like, kind of wild. His transformation was insane, obviously. He told me he did it for a lot of spiritual reasons. But we're gonna get into the meat and weeds of that today. And talk about some youth training. I'm watching some youth coaching going on right now. Not the best, it's right to the right of me. We need some work there. And some skill acquisition. Now we can go about skill acquisition and some of the things that I take from my softball practice and how to apply it to my athletes. So we're gonna get after all that today, and let's start ripping some deadlifts. Let's go. So we got these lateral box jumps to start, just going back and forth, 4 reps each. One of the cool things here, this is as simple as it can get when you're thinking about how do you add variation to your athletes' programs, and like coaches ask all the time, like how do you come up with different things and make your athletes creative? Give them one piece of equipment, tell them the thing that they have to do, make them come up with a bunch of different variations, right? So we started, we had to warm up right here, we had it flat, we were going side to side, flat, just like this, and we're adding in a couple 180s, adding a little bit of variation, right? It's flat, you can warm up, use it as good warm-up exercise. Your variety is high. Then next set, went a little bit higher, your variety is gonna be a little bit lower. We were doing less foot touches, less toe touches, less full 360s, maybe just a couple 180s. So you're sitting here, going side to side, just like that. Back and forth, a little bit more variation right there. And then we'll finish with this box as high as possible. To stick this, I'm just gonna go straight output base, just side to side, hopefully not eating shit over top of it, right? So really simple way to add variety. You have one piece of equipment, give the athletes, you get 100 different jump variations done, and you're still building up to a max jump output variation, and they're gonna give their all with the max jump output variation at the end, rather than like half-assing the first couple sets going through. So you got a lot of variety, a lot of intent into the variety, funneling that into a lot of high output stuff towards the end, finishing up here. So let's get it. Boom, just like that, let's go. Then last set of these 180 hurdle hops. Started off a lower height, got the 180 down, warmed up a little bit. Now we're gonna build up to a full height here, as high as we can go, sticking that 180. Just keep ripping, let's go. Ooh. 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 Let's go. Oh, let's go. We got some bunnies today. Damn. One more. See how high we can push this. Oh, woo. All right, we're gonna end on a win. That was sick. Let's go. Then our main lift today. We're going 6 rep max deadies, sumo pulls. Same as the close grip bench press yesterday, where we can make a variety with the grip, because we're not super focused on the actual like technical components of the lift, right? We're just focused on getting a strength stimulus done in a bunch of different ways with our athletes, right? One of the things I like doing with the sumo lift when I'm doing it with my athletes is like picking a spot. So today, our spot is gonna be foot touch into place. So it's about as wide as you can possibly go for the sumo. Again, this isn't like trying to find your perfect sumo pull. For me, my sumo pull is gonna be much closer. For some athletes, it's probably gonna be way the fuck out here. I've seen some long athletes get all the way out here. For me, this is gonna be pretty aggressive. For a lot of shorter athletes, it's gonna be pretty aggressive, but it makes it a really, really hip dominant lift, which is moneymaker for somebody with short little legs, big quads like me. So nice little money variation there. Don't overthink this stuff with your athletes, right? Give them the strength stimulus, vary the strength stimulus, and you'll build up a holistically strong athlete in a ton of different ways. Again, I'm gonna work my hips in a way that I probably haven't worked in this way in a long time, right? And we're gonna get a lot of strength stimulus done in here. I'm gonna feel that tomorrow, especially in here, right? And that's exactly what we want, right? Go from shit to suck and stuff. Let's get it. 6 rep max. Let's go. Another set, then we'll start yapping about long-term athletic development for kids and training them. Let's get it. Let's go. So we're gonna get to my pet peeve with youth training and long-term athletic development. As a coach, especially as a youth coach, coaching, fuck, I've seen it from 6 years old to 14 years old. It is not your job to teach these athletes to grow up. It is not your job to teach these athletes mental toughness or discipline. It is barely your job to teach these athletes skills, right? Your job is to make sure when they come to you, they enjoy the session, they have fun with movement, they have fun with the sport they are playing. That is it. So many of these coaches, and I really believe a lot of it comes down to a little bit of a deeper evil than a lot of them even know. They lose control with these youth kids because it's hard to control a group of kids, right? That's the whole point. They try to control these kids. They try to put these kids in these drills. They try to put these kids in these sessions, in these circuits, and funnel these kids in and out. Part of it's the business model that they're trying to do, where get as many kids in and out as possible. Part of it's like the parents watching and they want to look official. Part of it's just the coach feeling like they want to have change. They want to change these kids' skills. Like, that's not your job. These kids are too young for any of that. You are not their parent, right? And the more you try to pretend to be their parent, and the kids know you're not their parent, right? The more you try to pretend to be their parent, the more you lose control of the session because they're not going to listen to you. They're not enjoying the session. And one, you either burn them out of their sport and love of movement, and the quieter, introverted kids are just going to sit and pout and not enjoy it and act out and not come back to the sport, not come back to the next session, not come back for the next year. They're not going to enjoy the sport. It's going to be too much pressure. Or two, and this is more often, the kids have so much energy, they're going to act out. They're going to be even more ruly. They're going to be more undisciplined, and you're going to start yelling even more. Wendy on Twitter, she's like this dietitian person. I don't really know who she is, but she's on Twitter, like ripping these kids apart, these 12 to 14-year-old kids, for not having their diets perfectly driven out. And she's like, kids spend 4 hours a day on their phone, and they should be eating. If they don't eat their breakfast before training, they don't want it hard enough. Wendy, it's not your fucking job, dude. You're not their parents. You don't get to pick how much time they're on their phone. You can have ideas on how much time the kids should be on their phone. I don't think kids should be on their phone all day. I think kids should eat a healthy breakfast. You're not their parent, though. You don't get to have that say. You can be an inspiration. You can share this knowledge with their parents, but you are not the one that gets to change them, right? Again, you can be an inspiration, but when they come into your session and you're sitting there screaming at them, I'm watching some of the youth training going on in front of me, and we're screaming at them to get through the circuits, get through the skills, do these things right. And the kids act out more and more and more and listen less and less. And the one time that they listen is when the coach let them play a game, right? And they just let them kick the ball around. And you know what happened when they let them kick the ball around? Way more skills were developed, way more work was done. They were having way more fun. They were listening way more, right? So I just think it's a weird thing we do as coaches. We think all these kids are gonna be like professional athletes and we want to have that say. And I think a lot of coaches don't like the lack of control that you have with kids because, I mean, trying to control a bunch of group of kids is really fucking hard, right? Let them play, let them enjoy the session. You're gonna get so much more work done, and you're not gonna have this weird like virtue signal of like trying to be their parent when you're not their parent. Again, you can be an inspiration to them. You can live a life and they'll look up to you, but that's their decision to look up to you. That's their decision to live their life or model their life after you. Sitting there screaming at them about stuff is not gonna make that happen. I really think we get lost in this like weird survivorship bias too with some of these kids, because some of the kids do want it, right? They really do. They really do want to become a professional athlete. That was me as a kid. When I was like 6 years old, I was sitting, I mean, maybe not 6, maybe I was like 7 or 8. I would sit, I had this garage, we had this garage. I would sit, I'd throw a football on it, it would tumble down, I would catch it, it would be a blind spot. I'd throw the football on it, it would tumble down, I would have the blind spot, I would have to react and catch it. And I was visualizing myself in the NFL making these touchdown catches. And I would do that for 14 hours a day. That had nothing to do with the coach, right? But then coaches on the back end, when I would go to practice, would be like, see, look at what happens when you listen. You can be like Austin, right? And it's like, in the moment, I took that as like a sign of honor. Like, yeah, I'm listening to coach, it's doing all these things. It was just a total survivorship bias. I just had something wrong in my brain, I still do, where it's like, I just obsess over things and I really want things and I just do them over and over again. I'm a repetitive guy, I love doing that stuff. My brain has always worked like that. There was no coach that instilled that in me. There was no coach that made that happen. I mean, my whole family has that with construction, right? It's in my genes, it's in me. And then the coaches on the back end take it as like, look at what happens when you do this, and look at my coaching that did this, look at what I did to instill this in this kid. You guys don't listen, that's why it doesn't. No, you should meet these kids where they're at. right? The weird ones are gonna do it regardless. Kids like me are gonna do this stuff regardless. They're gonna listen to you regardless. You need to find a way to get to all these other kids. And a lot of times all these other kids are way more athletic than me and are gonna do way bigger things in athletics than I am, right? So I think stop trying to be the parents. That doesn't mean you can't be an inspiration. That doesn't mean you can't be a positive role model in these kids' life. I just think we take these weird roles and we start yelling at these kids, and a lot of it is just because we feel like a lack of control as a coach. And the way that you can get a great control over kids when you train them, just let them play, let them go, let them get that energy out. And then when they're in college or in high school, then you can start funneling down in these skills, right? But I see so much less work getting done. And that's kind of like the ironic thing about it. Like these hardcore coaches typically get less work done than the coaches that are just doing these play-based models, because the kids listen less and they spend more time talking and yelling than doing anything, right? So speaking about doing more time talking than doing anything, I need to start deadlifting. Let's go. Ow, that was my fucking foot. We're gonna make this our last set of 6 and then start ripping some clean singles. I know last week I said I was gonna behave, but it's feeling decent and I'm sick of dropping it on my toe in between. I don't know how to reset where I'm staying wide and going through without ripping it. I'm being a little pussy on that reset. So feeling good, let's rip it. Here we go. Let's go. That felt clean. Hit a couple singles, go from there. If I sound a little stupid today, I had a lot of creative juices today. I was cooking, really was. If I had like 10 creative points today, I was spending them all on Instagram. I spent them all before I got to this session. I feel kind of like brain dead a little bit today, and that's kind of happens when I don't know if other people, other creatives, when they make content and pieces together, they get a little like empty, not empty, but like the brain doesn't work after. I kind of get that a lot. And today was a really good Instagram reel day. I came up with like 3 ideas for posts coming up, and today's was pretty funny. I laughed at it. The bleach joke was a good one. I thought felt funny. But the muse was speaking to me today, which was nice. I've had a couple not months, but pretty good, probably a couple months where hasn't been as strong as it was today, and I felt like fully back on today. So it was sweet. Felt really in the zone creating today, but now my brain doesn't work as great. So, yeah, my words suck. That's why. Let's deadlift. Let's shut up. I sound like an idiot today. Let's go. Let's go. Hand's feeling a little fucky. I got a blister coming in. I cannot fuck up my hand before nationals, or my manager's gonna absolutely kill me if I can't swing a bat. So this will be our last set. If we get this, I'm gonna be pretty impressed by myself. My sumo is usually more embarrassing than my regular deadlift. As weird as that is, I think it's just a technique thing, and my hips are ass. So, and I can squat a regular deadlift. You can't really squat this. So if I get this, huge win on the day. Let's get it. Let's go. Woo! Oh, almost passed out there. Woo! That felt clean. Let's go. On to the next. Here we go. All right, then we're gonna hit these side bend squats. Zach Elder's athlete was doing this in a squat variation. It looked like every rep that he was hitting was a different variation. I love that variation of squats, but one of the variations he picked was this side bend squat. Kind of looked badass. So we're gonna rip these 3 reps each side. Build this baby up. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, that one felt like money. Like good, really heavy loaded side bend variation, obviously. Get that core work. We also feel it in the hips just a little bit differently. This would definitely be a variation that I pick where I'll build up to like a decently heavy but clean weight here. It's not gonna be something that I push at like 405 unless I was really going for a challenge, or with my athletes, it'd be like 3 sets of this as a warm-up. So the first 3 sets of 6, 3 each side, are gonna be this, warming up for their squat, and then once we get to a weight in which the limiting factor is that side bend, which would happen pretty quickly. And then we want to stimulate the legs. Then we'll just switch back to a back squat as we go. So we'll probably do something very similar today. Don't have a ton of time, so we'll see how heavy we'll go on the actual squats, but rip this for a couple more sets and then hit some real squats to get the legs stimmed and feel good leaving. Let's go. Let's go, one more set of those, then we'll get to some real squats. All right, last set here. And just so we're clear, if you're a high school athlete and just easily influenced, you don't need to do this squat variation. There's nothing magic about this squat variation. If you do it, make sure you got fucking clips. Like, make sure you got your whole setup, but you don't need to do this one. I'm just doing it because it's fun, look cool, and it's a good little warm up for my squat session, right? So don't copy me. Don't do what weirdos do on the Instagram. On YouTube, on the internet. That's just life advice right there for the easily influenced. Let's go. Oof. 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 Woo. Oof. 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 Woo. All right, core's on fire, holy shit. Let's hit a couple sets of 6. Then get out of here. Those felt surprisingly good. Core's on fire, man. Feeling good about that. I thought that was gonna be heavier. Then once I get it was 225 with the legs, but that side bend, core's feeling great. So let's rip a couple sets of 6. Then we'll talk about, I'll rip this set without a rant. I mean, we're ranting right now. Hit a set of 6 and I'll talk about some skill acquisition stuff that I thought about in softball and go from there. Let's get it. Ooh, that was way heavier than I thought it was gonna be. My fucking back is shot. Woo! All right, one more set of those. And then hit a couple accessories. I already hit the accessories in the morning, so it's gonna be a little bit of showboating here. But I gotta record them. Didn't record it this morning. And go from there. Let's get it. Woo! Shit. Last set here, no yapping because I gotta focus. Gonna go heel elevated even a little bit more, even with these shoes. I do not feel like I'm squatting very well with these Olympic shoes. Jacking me up, my hips feel really tight at the bottom. I like the heel elevated slant board just a little bit better, so we're gonna rip that and get after this here. Let's go. Oh, fuck. Hold up. We're gonna switch around. I'm fucking that up. Oh my God, yeah, we're calling that. Holy shit. All right, we're fucking gassed. Gonna hit a couple accessories really, really quickly. Just talk about them, get in it. Oh, squats need some work right now. We'll get back to them. Just trying to get that Instagram reel angle with the quads. Flip the other way. Just kept hitting the fucking rack. Fucks me up, but whatever. We'll get after it next week. Let's go. All right, after that pitiful squat session, I can't remember the last time that I deadlifted and squatted on the same day. Back actually held up fine. Everything else just felt kind of tight and weak. We'll work on it. It was a little work in progress. We're gonna hit some, we already did most of our accessories this morning. I just wanna show this one and the hip drops because I'm gonna post it on Instagram. So a little bit of a thirst trap here. Not really, but I need the content. Didn't record it this morning. So we got 25 barbell hops here, pulling this up, hopping, exploding up. Let's go. Ooh, nice. All right, and the last thing we got, these hip drops. Elevated, I think I've shown these before on the Instagram. These are really, really money. I like these a lot, especially ending squat session or deadlift session when you're feeling a little bit tighter, just getting grease in the grooves a little bit. We got 25 rotations here, just getting that knee to touch the ground. Rotate in, then we come back out. Rotate in, come back out, rip in here. Just like that. Woo! Little quad burner to finish it up. let's go say goodbye and get out of here. Let's go. Oh, all right, that is the day. Just finished up, was gifted some Sour Patch Kids from one of the guys at the gym that was leaving the sauna. Amazing, blueberry, perfect pre-workout or post-workout recovery snack. Felt pretty good. I was proud of the sumo deadlifts, pretty disappointed in those squats, but again, probably the first time deadlifting and squatting on the first day in a long time. Just drawing some inspiration from Will right now. Just trying to keep it simple, just trying to get some work in and out. The softball swing is, this guy just completely did not look where he was going. Almost just killed us. Almost died on camera. What is this guy doing? One of the things I really wanted to cover today, and I just sort of blacked out because I was disappointed in those squats, was skill acquisition, right? And one of the things, I'm making a softball video on this today, but I know a lot of you guys don't watch the softball videos because you're not softball people, and I respect that. I want to watch a soccer video. I'm not super interested in that, but I would watch a lifting video. So I'm going to trap you, thirst trap this in here. One of the things with skill acquisition is I think a lot of times we are too goal oriented, and the goal stays the same over and over and over again. It's like get a hit in softball. I'm going to use softball as the perfect example. Throw the perfect pass, complete the pass, hit the hole, do all these certain things specifically, right? And I think a lot of times that dopamine hit goes away. In the same way with a lift, where you're kind of hitting a plateau in a lift, and let's say it's a regular deadlift, and you're hitting this plateau over and over again, and you know what your kind of ceiling is in that lift, and you go in with these psychological barriers over and over again. Again, I think it's one of the beauties of having like a deload, why deloads are so placebo for some athletes, is that it gives them something to like look forward to, like, oh, I'm supposed to break through a barrier right now, and then they have expectations of something higher. Now, does that usually work with the perfect deload? Typically not really at all. But at least that's kind of the thought process and why it works with some athletes. And I think the same thing happens very often in skill acquisition for sports. It's the same sport with the same constraints over and over again. And one of the things that you can do as a skill coach, or even just an athlete trying to learn these skills, is change those constraints a little bit. One of the things that we did for softball today is we did a no home run challenge. And the no home run challenge is don't hit a home run, right? And in softball, and as a power hitter, that's harder to do than you would think, right? If you have power and you square up a ball, some of the balls are just gonna go. Like if you're hitting a ball hard and doing it, it's just gonna go, right? So struggling to hit line drives, not struggling to hit line drives, but I just want to have more back control, right? So my focus today was a back control day. Changing the constraints to the only goal of today is not to hit a home run. That's how I work on back control. Instead of trying to place balls certain spots and keeping the constraints the same, instead of trying to hit the same slant pattern or throw the same move or whatever it is in basketball, whatever your sport is, you apply it to your sport. You change those constraints around just slightly and change the overall goal. A lot of times those expectations, in the same way where you change from a sumo deadlift or from a regular deadlift to a sumo deadlift, from a wide stance squat to a regular stance squat, and you can break through some of those barriers because the expectation changes and you don't really know what you have going in, so your dopamine spikes, you can go into it with a little excitement. Today's challenge was no home runs. In that no home run challenge, I got probably my best back control day done in a long time. I was hitting the ball pretty much exactly where I wanted to hit it. I felt like I was learning new things and felt like the focus slightly changed. I was staring at the ball just a little bit longer. I was learning new things about my swing. There was a lot of mess ups when I'm not trying to hit a home run. There was a lot of grounders. But again, the expectation was no home run, so even the grounder was a win, whereas previously when I was working a back control day, the grounder or the ground out would have been a loss. But now I'm learning something. Okay, why did you hit that grounder? What happened there? Where were you looking at on the ball? And I think just slight tweaks in these skill practices, slight changes in the constraints, can be absolute money. So something you can do, let's say it's a 7-on-7 skelly practice for football, you can do something like there's no deep passes, or there's only deep passes. You can only throw the ball 10 feet down, or 10 yards down the field, 10 yards plus down the field, or you can only throw the ball within a 5-yard perimeter, right? It doesn't matter how many completions you get, it doesn't matter how many interceptions you throw. The point of that skill practice is to work on that short-term game and realize what are you seeing in the defense? What are you picking up there? How does that long ball affect that short ball, right? And I think you can just pick up on all these cool little data points that you otherwise are not picking up on. And it gives athletes, especially athletes that are kind of growing stale, and in the same exact way that athletes grow stale in the squats and the big lifts, athletes that are going stale or athletes that are plateauing in their skill development. It gives them just a slightly different focus, a different thing to kind of like explore, and it can be super exciting and they can learn a ton. So it's just something that I felt was really cool. It felt like I got my best back control day done. Just setting an overall constraint. It's not to get out, it's not to hit the ball perfectly, which is the constraint every other day. The goal was not to hit a home run, which is a lot of times the home run is the good thing that you're trying to do, right? So take away almost something positive, take away the deep ball, take away the 3-point shot, and work on other aspects and just see the components that you pick up on your game, see the things. And then you go back, and this was the really, really cool thing. I finished my last round, I finished 5 balls just hitting as hard as possible, and I was putting the ball exactly where I wanted, and when I wanted to hit the home run, it was so much easier to hit the home run. So it was a pretty cool experience. It's looking at play as the psychedelic realm to skill acquisition, and I really believe the more you can play with these dopamine games, the more you can get your athletes excited to practice and have something new in that practice, even if it is slight twists like that, the better, and the faster their skill acquisition is going to come. So just the thought process there. I appreciate you guys putting up with my lack of verbal communication today. I know I have a mic on, and the whole point of these videos is verbal communication, but the brain felt a little bit fried. I'm going to go talk to Dom about his 40-day fast, and we're going to rip a cool little podcast. So appreciate you guys watching. Keep chopping wood. Let's go.